Welcome. I am Janet Hellner Burris, the pastor of the Christian Church of Wilkinsburg. We call ourselves the Place for Peace. We are studying the Beatitudes this fall season, both as the job description of every disciple of Christ, but also as Jesus' manifesto for peace, the essential attitudes and spiritual practices that will lead us to peacemaking and justice building for such a time as this. So today we begin with the first beatitude, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." I remember when I truly started to understand what this beatitude means. It was during a very painful time in my family's life, a time when we had experienced the murder of a loved one. I came into our church building to walk the labyrinth for an Advent prayer vigil. Fortunately, no one was in the building at the time, and I could pour out my heart to God. All my anger, all my rage, all my fear, all my disappointment, all my feelings of betrayal, all of that just poured out of me. I was weeping and sobbing, and as I got to the middle of the labyrinth, I fell on my knees, and my hands shot up in the air, and I said to God, "I can't do this anymore." And that's when the peace of Christ started to descend upon my heart. And it was as though the Holy Spirit was saying to me, "I know, child, I know. You can't do this by yourself. Let me lead you step by step." Being poor in spirit is more than being humble, as powerful and as wonderful as that spiritual practice is. Being poor in spirit is about being desperate for God and knowing that we cannot do it without God. We can't do the teachings of Jesus without the presence and the power of Jesus in our hearts. And we can't stop hate and gun violence and environmental destruction on our own. We can't do it without the guidance of the Holy Spirit, step by step. This beatitude, "Blessed are the poor in spirit," reminds me of the first two steps in the 12-step program. In that 12-step program, we acknowledge that we are powerless over our lives to change, and that only a higher power can help us to come to sanity and peace. That's what this first beatitude is about. It's about realizing we cannot do it on our own. It's about a holy desperation for God to lead us forward as disciples of Christ and as peacemakers. So blessed are the poor in spirit, those who have developed the daily practice of holy desperation, of knowing they cannot do it without God.